Well, this time, all you can tell me a long time no see, right? This time we seeing each other all the time. All you going, everybody good?
Funny! Yes? Trinidadians and Tobagonians, this land belongs to every man. And since we got independence, it means hard work for you and me. Independence means unity. It means you gotta fight. It means we need cooperation. Fight with all your might. It means if you have to work your fingers to the bone. It means that you're on your own. 25 years are gone. How you feel? You feel you put your shoulders to the wheel. You feel you post fire and achieve. You feel you clean up the mess. You feel you could stand up proud and say, you feel that you did your best. You feel that we just keep moving on. We're backing back on we heel. 25 years have gone. How you feel?
I think we reach about 50 years gone now. Welcome to everybody who's been listening. Welcome back. All the new people, welcome. Nice to have you on board. We're here to celebrate the life of our great man.
Independence means productivity. You must produce to build an economy. It means we facing stormy weather and the burning sun all together. Independence don't mean you fed with big celebration. It means that we are one people building a nation. It means if you are asleep, wake up from your sleep. It means what you sow you shall reap. 25 years have gone. How do you feel? You feel it's joke we joking or for real? You feel we work hard and we produce. You feel that things going fine. You feel we reaping the benefit. So you feel we on the decline. You feel exporting was really good and we made the proper deal. 25 years have gone. How you feel?
It's only fitting that we start a funny man. You know, they used to call him funny, and he was funny in real life. But it's only fitting that we start with that. Pause. It's only fitting that we start with a serious Calypso from a man called Funny, right? So if you didn't hear the news yet, let me go to the news day. This is from Melissa Doughty. Donrick Master Funny Williamson, 84, has died. The Trinidad and Tobago Calypsonians organization, TUCO, made the announcement in a social media post on July 31st. He died from cancer. Former NCC Commission Chair and Calypsonian Winston Gypsy Peters said he had lost a close friend and someone he called a brother. In a phone interview on the 31st of July, Gypsy said, "I've lost a friend and a personal friend of mine for more than 55 years. This country has lost one of their greatest humorous minds." He said Master Funny had been ailing for some time. One of the best personalities you could ever find in a human being was Donrick Williamson. Gypsy said he wanted Trinidad and Tobago to remember Master Funny as one of the greatest calypsonians it ever produced. I want to clap that. Just now we will get a good clap, right? He added that Master Funny was also one of the most underrated as well. I did see Mr. Shaq posting about this as well. Funny being known for being funny, known for being humorous and coming with some topics. We will cover some of them topics today. I feel we'll get through all now, but we will cover some of them topics today and some of the Calypsos and the way he put things together. One of the greatest, in terms of a wordsmith and putting words together, one of the greatest to me. For people who would have been listening to this podcast a long time ago, you know, when you say, when we played Calypso, I used to enjoy saying, yes, you know, just like Funny, you know. They say Master Funny was very frank but also very measured, Gypsy said. This made him a great human being. Even though his family and friends were expecting it, as he had been ailing for a while and he had gone into the hospital last week, it was still very devastating to Gypsy. Gypsy described Master Funny as irreplaceable, just as the late calypsonian Theophilus Spoiler Philip was also irreplaceable. I wonder if I could squeeze in a two spoiler in this episode, what I really feel, because when it comes to humorous Calypso, them is men the name is always calling us. Spoiler being a humorous lyricist. You had plenty humorous men, you know. You had people like Rex West, who was very funny. You had people like Cardinal, who was funny. Trinidad Rio, who I expect to come here at some point in time, who was crafty in the way he put together Calypso. He was funny, but Funny and Spoiler seem to be the ones who people credit a lot with being some of the funnier calypsonians. And it's one of the eras I had loved, the 90s. And the people from before would tell you about it before, where the calypso tent was an important part of the fabric of our society. And now we're finding that the calypso tent, they like to say the tent dying and calypso dying. Well, not if I could do anything about it, right? Not as long as I hear it, and nothing dying while I hear. We come to breathe fresh life into everything. But Funny was one of those people who was a breath of fresh air and a breath of fresh life in the tent when you go. Because what people might not remember was that the tent was a very, very serious place. There's plenty serious conversation was happening in the tent, both by the tent MCs, which would include people like Rachel Price, Sprangalang, Tommy Joseph. Who's my partner again? I was just talking about him the other day. There's this video I like to watch with both of them. He and All Around there having a back and Nap Hepburn as announcers in the tent. So many of them who passed through the tent. But it was a place where people was having to come in to have a serious discourse. The tent is a serious place, you know. Because when you're a business person and your practices are above board, and we're finding out that, listen, and remember that the days they're finding this out, we're finding out in the morning news or the evening news that you have corrupt practices, or you're paying bribe, or if you're a politician and you're going into thing and they find your name calling in scandal and them kind of thing, or even if you're a public figure, Miss Universe, why does this happen? That is what coming to be discussed in the Calypso tent, and it's a discussion, you know. The tent wasn't a one-way exchange. It was a back and forth thing where I come out, I say and I announce, I make a joke, I make a statement, I say something. I call out a Calypsonian now. The Calypsonian come, you don't know what a man coming with. You don't know what Funny coming with, or Cardinal, or Gypsy, or Chalky, or Stalin. You don't know what they could come with this year. That's when you find out what they come with. It's serious matters, man, come to discuss in the tent. And we as the audience have a part to play in them serious matters too, because the tradition of calling back on a Calypsonian, right? Some of us, the people around my age, go remember when calling back on a Calypsonian was about big song. And you want to see more of him, or it was about the performance. But we had to remember the idea behind an encore and calling back a Calypsonian on stage. A lot of times the encore was about the message. In other words, I want you to say more about that. Crime in the country high. I come out and you deliver a masterful piece. A man start to clap now. They want to hear more of that. It was so that clap on was a clap on of agreement, or a clap on saying, hey, we want our encore. We want that to be said. So the tent was a space where if the politician ain't paying attention, or if the businessman or society as a whole not paying attention, you could be in trouble. You could be in trouble because it is the voice of the Calypsonian and the response to the way the Calypsonian brought forward what they brought forward in terms of public issues. At one point in time, it would be heavier than the social media influencer. It had that back then. Or the journalists or whatever it might be who have the voices and who telling the stories today. The Calypsonian was the one who was waiting for the stories, and the encore was a way of telling them that is the issue we come to hear about. As a matter of fact, man might be disappointed if they come to the tent and they have a big public issue and none of these Calypsonians and the cast talk about that, we go have a problem. But Funny was one of them men who could break that tension in a masterful way. Either by singing a song that's completely hilarious, or by taking a serious issue and easing up the way we do it. Because they had some men who was biting. All you know, the men who was biting, right? Them important. The biting men and them coming to tell you direct and call men name. It's at a point in Calypso where it turned from being crafty and double entendre and suggesting that this is the person I'm talking about, to outright calling people name, big and brave. They're calling it in big. But Funny was one of the people I would imagine that as somebody who curating it and deciding who coming next, who going on and that kind of thing. What artists following? You had to be careful where you put funny, because you could put funny in a place to break the tension, or you could wait too late for a man like Funny to come in, and the whole tent could turn into a riot, you know. So Funny and them used to come in, and again, as the first song suggests, used to do serious ones too. So as going back to the article, the Tuco release said that the Calypsonian was known for his wit, patriotism, enduring contribution to the art form. It was said that he was born on May 23rd, 1941 in East Port of Spain, where he began composing calypsos in the late 50s. Master Funny made his performance debut in 1964. He gifted us with timeless classics like Sweet Trinidad, Farmer Brong, blending humour and social commentary with unmatched lyrical brilliance. As a man, when I come here, I have a work to do, you know. So anytime I hear Calypso name call, and we have a few issues to talk about, right? All you had to forgive me. For the long time listeners especially, right? All you had to be a little patient with me, and give me grace. Because you know that I would typically come and talk about all the issues that happen in the country the week, and now starting to get back into current affairs. So we go talk about a few, but we're really here to pay respects and to celebrate the life of a great one. So if the author in the article mentioned Farmer Brong,
yes, Farmer Brong had a jackass, which was very bad.
yes.
Now the farmer himself was very slack. They let his tree all in people's yard. The neighbors and them keep complaining about this jackass every day. So the police sent up the sergeant, who went to Farmer Brong, and he tell him, that jackass of yours, Farmer Brong, the neighbors them keep complaining. You better try and watch the animals, so because all the plants they destroying. Keep your eyes on the jackass, because you're giving them a real task. You will get yourself in trouble, farmer, if you don't watch your ass, I tell you. Yes?
I wanted to picture the tent after Croker and them gonna blaze the government, then Funny and them come with this.
Farmer Brong tied the jackass on a rotten tree.
Yes.
Then he jump on the bike and he gone down the road in the rum shop to spree. The jackass prance up and get away, and it gone cross by neighbor John. The neighbor gone to the farmer in the shop and start to get on. He tell him, that jackass of yours, Farmer Brong, you better come and see, because it pulled down the tree, bust away the chain, and it inside the gallery. You are sure going to lose it, so you better do something fast, because if it should damage my property, so help me, I'll kill your ass, I'll tell you. Farmer Brong let the jackass go in the people lawn, and Farmer Brong will stand up and see it destroying the neighbor's corn. The neighbors and them was very mad, and when they jam it, it couldn't pass. When Farmer Brong see what was happening, he run quick to save his ass, I tell you. The jackass get jammed in a corner, down in the garden. The neighbors and them was in a rage, so they didn't care what happened. Farmer Brong, he started begging, but the neighbors, they wouldn't stop. They didn't care about Farmer Brong. They kick his ass up, I tell you.
Hey, the great Funny, the great Lord Funny. Man, you come at serious matters going on in the country, and then Funny come on the stage and drop one like that on you. You know, you cannot predict him. You can't predict him. You don't know. With a name like Funny, the expectation is that you go come with some serious, you come with some kicks and some humor and thing, but sometimes you come in with serious matters. What else they say here? They say he gifted us with timeless classics like Sweet Trinidad and Farmer Brong, blending humor and social commentary with unmatched lyrical brilliance. He was a long-time headline act at Calypso Spectacular and later joined the Back to Basics Calypso tent in 2019. You know, Spectacular was a place where was known for a lot of more, like, it's almost like my interpretation of it as a youth was when you go down by Kitch. By that time, Kitch was down on Royston Road for me, right? Calypso House. Was it Calypso House? When you go down on Royston Road, you know it's serious matters being discussed down there. And Calypso Spectacular had plenty serious matters going on too, because if I remember right, they had people like Rio, they had Watchman, they had heavy hitters. At one point, I want to believe they had Chalk Dust too, if I remember right. But You're sure to get funny and you're sure to get some humorous calypso and them kind of thing in the midst. And I don't know that on Ryson Road, when Kitchener had pretended that the man was in charge, I don't know that he would have got Rex West on these fellas at all. They said, though he often spoke at challenges faced by calypsonians, his love for Trinidad and Tobago never wavered. His famous line, "When I'm dead, please bury me in the center of the city." It's prophetic, boy, when you look at a day like today where we get to celebrate his life, we get to reflect on the opportunity we had to even live in the time where a man like this lived and choose to do what he did with his life. In the center of one of his greatest songs, he said, "When I'm dead, please bury me in the center of the city." We go revisit that song, right? Only feel we can take it in. Yes. Yes.
So I tell them, sweet, sweet Trinidad, 'cause I love this country bad. I don't want to leave at all. Ever since I small, look up all in sweet, sweet Trinidad. Brother, father, feeling glad. When I'm dead, we bury me in the center of the city. Yes. Have to get up and get. And anytime things are a little bad, man, you have a garden in your backyard and no doubt the food almost in your mouth. We got women color class or creed, any kind of a woman that you need, you could bet. The sweetest woman you could get.
Yes.
So I tell you, sweet, sweet Trinidad, 'cause I love this country bad. I don't want to leave at all. Ever since I small, look up all in sweet, sweet Trinidad. Brother, first I'm feeling glad. When I dead, please bury me in the center of the city.
One of the best social commentary for me, you know what I mean? One of the greatest. And it's a song, give yourself some time to listen to it, right? Listen to the lyrics, listen to what it is he's saying. Because again, as a man like Funny, you come in tongue-in-cheek to say again, sweet, sweet Trinidad, I love this country bad. He love it since he's small, you know what I mean? He want to leave at all. When he's dead, bury him in the center of the city. And then in the verses, when he sang a chorus like that, in the verses he went into, is a real Trinbagonian guy, so, you know, because he's not just talking about the issues and talking about sweet Trinidad, but he's talking not just about our issues, but our laxed approach to these issues. Reach to work anytime, leave early, clock your card. A man told me the other day quite confidently that in a public sector company he used to work for that is dealing with water and sewage provision and so on. He said, men used to start to work 3 o'clock so that overtime could start a clock immediately. So to me, one of the greatest guys so ever written by the great Lord Funny, because it talks about our approach to the idea of any serious issue. And, you know, one of the things about being Trinidad, you know, Trinbagonian, is that there's a lot to complain about. Let me put that up front, right? There's plenty you could complain about in this country and all kinds of things wrong, and everything, and the poverty line, and there's not the hospitals. You name the issue, and I go tell you 100 different things you go complain about, right? But for me, I kind of like to focus. This is me personally, right? Me don't tell nobody how to live. Me don't give nobody no advice. If you ask me for advice, I will try and tell you, but I am sure I can't advise nobody. Me and know if what I tell you go work for you or not. You just have to find the words of a great doctor by the name of David Brizan. May he rest in peace. I was on a course with him and he tell me, you have to figure out what's useful in this life. Forget the idea of what right and what wrong and try and focus on what's useful. Let me tell you why that was an important statement for me, right? I get into a point. I always get into a point. That was important to me because at that point in time, I had very, very strong views on what is right and what is wrong, and maybe by extension, who is right and who is wrong, and who have a right to say this and who have a right to say that, right? I always remember being very, very angry as a young fellow, 20-something years old, finishing a bachelor's degree, finishing a master's degree, trying to come out in this world. I do what the people tell me was right. I do what the people say was good. I study and I learn my work, all the things that I was supposed to do. I do it slowly. I repeat a few times, right? You know what I mean? Never clap my damn self. I repeat a couple of times. I didn't really get through the CXC too easy. And then by the time I reached A-levels, I had to repeat that too because that was difficult. But somewhere, and I went to UE, I was accepted to UE to do carnival studies. I ended up getting a degree in business, but I had to struggle to switch from carnival studies, which was a humanities thing. No, not carnival studies, what I'm saying. I mean, government is what I first got accepted to do. And I had to get my grades to switch. UE say if you get above 60%, which I believe was a B plus average at the time I went there. And once you're above 60%, you could switch to any faculty you want. So I say, well, this is my route to get to study business, right? And you know, I get 59 point something percent. I just short of the mark. So I had to beg, salute to Miss Doctor, what's your name? Arjun? I had to go and beg him to sign me off so I could switch faculties. And that's how I ended up doing business. I went on to do business in Lockjack, do marketing there. And a part of what my issue was then is that I do all the right things, but I still can't afford a house. I still can't afford a nice car. I still buy my mother. I'm struggling, you know what I mean? And at that point in my life, I was very much into looking at what are all the factors that are causing me to not succeed or not achieve. But there was one key factor I never used to look at enough. Michael Jackson said, man in the mirror. I never used to spend enough time looking at myself and say, okay, well, what you doing? Yes, you did all the right things. Cool. Doing all the right things don't guarantee you nothing. As a matter of fact, I'll put it this way. Nothing guarantees you nothing. I could say that now at 40-something, right? But at 20-something, I didn't understand that. I was very angry and very frustrated. And the height of my anger came when the government of Trinidad and Tobago at the time built a national flag in the stadium. I was mad. Only remember the big flag? They had a big one by Center Excellence, and then the next big one wrong by the stadium, but on the foreshore side, between the stadium and movie town. Here now, I am angry. As a patriot and a national man, and I know, I mean, I love this place, but why would I be so angry at a national flag? Largely because at the time, the kind of houses I wanted to live in and the place that I wanted to live in, the houses were costing $2 million. I can't even qualify for $1 million my salary at that point in time, eh? But them men went and built the flag and said that the flag cost $2 million. And I could not put that together in my mind. I couldn't reconcile that. I was just basically angry and saying, hey, what the hell is this? Them people spending $2 million of my tax money and I can't even afford a $1 million. And I was driving around the place upset. I was driving around the place angry. Now, think of it from this standpoint. Before I get to the stupidity of my anger at that point in time. When I angry and stressed out and I this and that, the people who build that flag, them living their life, and it was my blood pressure and my cortisol levels and all them things to catch and my gray hair. You know what I mean? It's all them things to catch for me. And also is my focus and my energy, which going towards that could well be going towards something else that could help me progress and do a little better in life and maybe afford that $2 million house. Maybe if I took that energy I had then and I see, okay, how I could advance my degrees or whatever it might be, or how could I invest in something, how could I go and buy something and sell, or how could I figure out something, you know, I feel more empowered when I focus on me and what I could do about a situation than the situation itself. I don't want to ever sound like I saying these things easy. I talk about something 20 years ago, and I talk about something where I feel like I'm still adjusting to it today, thanks for courses like Brizan and them. I could sort of pause a little bit and look at myself when I'm blaming circumstances or looking at this, that, and the third as the reason why I can't get through it. I pay attention to that, and when I catch myself thinking like that, I say, oi, hey, what you could do about it, what you could do differently, what you could adjust, what you could, and that includes how could I look at this situation differently, because I'm blessed and I want to say like lucky in a lot of ways to be able to sometimes more than once a week sit down with what I think are enormously successful people in my eyes every single episode, every single week. I ain't missing a Monday morning. It come like a walk now, and every Monday morning I come. More successful people. And I am asking questions. Yes, I understand that our audience to cater to, and I want the episodes to be informative and entertaining and things, but half the time I just soaking up knowledge across that table. I want to know how you do what you do. I want to figure out what in that message is useful, because what I know is that whatever circumstances between me and what is my goal, whatever obstacle is there or whatever is happening around me, I can choose to focus on that if I want. I could put all my energy into focusing on this and this thing wicked and the people this and the government this and the business do that, or we do this and they didn't agree and the degree not internationally recognized. I could focus on all them things. I can take all my energy and focus on that. Or I could focus on, okay, what do I want to, how do I want to be different? And what can I do to accomplish that? And you know, maybe it's a sign of old age. Because when I was young, I had plenty of energy. And you see now how I old, I ain't have too much energy. and I have a limited amount of energy. So if I take that little bit of energy and I focus it on things that not helping me progress, are actually hurting my chances even more of progressing. What the hell is the moral of all this? Why am I coming here preaching? I always talk about myself. I want you to understand something. I'm never telling people what to do or how to think. You can focus on whatever you want to come out. This thing is my life story. It's just me and the way I see the world. And keep in mind too that by next week Friday that could change, or next week Monday morning it could change. How I see the world, I'm always willing to share it with people. But I'm saying all that because the last episode I put out was with Adam Aboud, right? And if you're here listening for a long time, you would have known that I would always want to interview Adam Aboud or any successful business person. And I'm using that word successful deliberately. So that's part of the course for me. But I guess people have to get used to the fact that a lot of people, let me say it like this. I talk sometimes and I do the interviews or the conversations sometimes where I'm assuming that a lot of people listen from episode 1, which my son remind me was 5 years ago. So look, my boy Zachary. 5 years ago was when we do episode 1. So I just kind of assume everybody here that if they had written in ink, you could always go back and look at that too and let me get some numbers down in the early ones now. You know what I mean? It's a struggle, you know. But after understand, respect, and adjust to the fact that the last episode is really the first one that most people hear. And so it's no surprise to me, and I've spoken about my history in Adams for a long time. I've always admired him, and I admire him for the fact that he's in his business every day. He said his age on that episode, and I was a little blown away by it because I have this stupid tendency to think everybody's my age. I just think everybody in their 40s, you know what I mean? It works against me all the time, you know what I mean? I don't have the best working functioning brain and all. I have to work with my little bit here, but I can assume everybody's wrong my age. And while I understand that he's a little older, but the thing about it is, I just talk about the energy. Because the way I feel, if I had a restaurant like his, I'm probably not going to be there every day. Honestly, I'm just being honest. I'm not going to be there every day. I don't know if I have the energy to deal with all the staff and all the people and all those things. And maybe that says something about where my accomplishments are versus where I want them to be. So I am eager to hear from him. Hey, how you overcome obstacles? How you had the energy to go there? How you turn this thing into this? What is your thought process like? What are you going to do next? You hear how excited he is about talking about expanding? So the point I'm making is this. I've gotten a lot of feedback after the episode about the 1% and the privilege that he has and nobody don't want to hear this and all that. I even heard somebody surprised. I was so shocked to hear. How could I let the 1% be the first businessman that comes on the podcast because and it sends the wrong signal, and businessman and blah. And I think to myself, is Conrad Beard not a businessman? Is Omari Ashby not a businessman? Is Ozzy Merrick not a businessman? Is Zan is not a businessman? Mr. Shaq is not. I feel like I doing the same thing every week. Junior Lee is not a businessman. Junior Lee talk. That man asked me if I say, I look like a man who need a promoter to you. I want to say that at the time of recording this, the man Canada shows sold out and his Barbados show sold out. 28. So listen, I'm telling you, I'd be genuinely shocked when I hear these things. I'm like, you think Adam is the first businessman I had here? And I was also be thinking like, if he is, so what? So what? Every episode to me is one of 10,000. It's a body of work. If you want to come week to week and judge it by the episodes and judge it by what's said and who didn't say, and if you didn't ask that, that is fine too. I'm okay with that. But what I want more than anything else is for people to look at watch beyond the things that being said or watch beyond who says it. It does not matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. About his privilege, for instance, people saying he failed to acknowledge his privilege in the interview and I did a terrible job as an interview. It's true. But the thing about it I want people to understand is I asked Adam to come here. I asked him and I was very grateful that he would come and share his story because he does not need to do that. He don't want to talk to nobody. The men do well enough. You know what I mean? Even when I sit down and talk and say, man, he says things like, which I genuinely believe that he sees it that way. He's like, we're not super wealthy. I'm like, hey, if I get a little bit of percentage, you're super wealthy. Or you're not super wealthy. It's a big difference to me, I understand that. I acknowledge that. His life is his life. He living it every day. But he does not have to give any of us a glimpse into anything. So the fact that he's willing to do it means a lot. When I said in the beginning of the episode, the reason I brought him on, it was for real. Why do we laud the Mark Zuckerbergs of this world and the Jeff Bezoses of this world and the Warren Buffetts? We laud them. Everybody had to tell me last week about Diary of a CEO and you should change your interview. Why we don't talk about, we have a thing here. Why I have to be compared to Diary of a CEO? Why we always need some foreigner or something to be the standard of who we are? No foreigner is not no standard of nothing I do. I am following people who are here. And I'm not nowhere near as good as them. I'm nowhere there. I following Alison Hennessy. I following Daily Knock and Tony. I following Dominic Kalipasad. I following Alvin Daniel. Those are the people I pattern myself after and I watching. I'm not saying I don't watch the foreigners, but there's no standard on nothing I do and they cannot provide no standard for me as me. Them have to watch me. Why them don't watch me and learn how to do what we just do? Let me tell you a defining thing in my life. I can't remember if I talked about it last week because my memory ain't good at all. My father had a company one time, I was in UE, right? Called Innovative Procurement Services Limited, right? And he had an office in Barataria. And on campus them time, in your young life, in your 20s something, is only one thing on your mind, I mean, if you're anything like me, you're just living. And I go on by my father, one time to collect the little kakada. When I had kakada to collect, your little allowance something. I used to go and check my father in the business, right? And I must go on to collect whatever little money because living on campus and them thing, and I trying to make ends meet if there's a real thing, And that was one of the other things people said about the episode. I see somebody in the comments say, imagine, I think, and I just go, my business fail and burn down, and I go on to New York for a month and I could just go and... Okay, that's true. That's true. Not everybody could do that, but that is the man's story. If you hear that and don't want to listen to none of the other gems that were said in this episode about how we could pattern ourselves and see things differently and improve ourselves, that's on you. If that's what you want to focus on, then that's cool. My father can't send me in New York to sing for a year, to do nothing. He can't send me back in no bagel shop to learn about bagels. But my father do the best he could do with what he had. And I understand that even that is a privilege. There are people who have no father, no help, no support, no positive messages. But that is why I am doing this. I hoping one of them who mightn't have the kind of voices I hear or the kind of things my father said. My father always tell me, boy, you will do fine. This is when I come in last in test. I come in last in test every time I pass. But he always tell me, boy, you will do good. You're always bright. You have a weird. That is how he is up to today. And I fully understand that is a privilege and all them kind of things. But that is my life. So if I talk about my life and I talk about my father, you will chastise me for talking about the things that I had. I don't understand this notion that, so because Adam could say, I did this, or I was that, or I had this person in my life, that was in my life. So what we want to do, we want to ignore, throw the baby with the bath water kind of thing. I don't think I understand it. So I'm going with my father to collect this little allowance, right? And when he was there with a lady and they're talking about thing, and something he tell me about. And he telling me about Patty Austin. If I know Patty Austin, I don't know Patty Austin. I know Pat Bishop. And I saw his reaction to that was like, die my son. You know what I mean? Because all my stuff, again, salute to everybody who accomplish everything globally and thing, but I want my examples to come from here. And if we live in a country where the examples not coming from the households themselves, why would we not find a way to create platforms like these where people could hear examples? My dream is that one of these 10,000 episodes affects one child and they could see life differently and see that they have all the potential in the world to become anything that they want to be in this world. So I rather sit down here for 20 hours and celebrate funny. I rather celebrate them. Because if Kendrick Lamar and Clips had that would be a big issue and a big story. Let want to cover that, let them cover that. I want to cover what I cover and speak on behalf and speak with my people. And I see Adam as one of my people. He would have been invited here regardless of what it is. So when I tried my best, right, to get him to talk a little bit more about, okay, when that place burned down in the coup, how you felt? The reason I'm asking that question is really to get him to say what just his genuine experience, so that anybody else who in business and felt the obstacles. When he say he cry, I hear my father talk about how he cry. He say when he first leave the job, he closing himself in the office when none of we was there and he cry. Because he's like, what you do, you leave everything behind and you start this company and this thing ain't working. And he cry. Talk to any entrepreneur. I was talking in an episode recently about a youth man who's selling coffee on the highway. The man see a need, you know what I mean? He see, boy, listen, I wanted coffee when I was selling so and so. And I selling coffee. Now he become a national story and a viral sensation. So why he can end up being rituals? Why he can end up being Starbucks? I feel by putting the limitations on, if you hear this story and you focus on the privilege and the I want you to consider that you are putting limitations, not on yourself, because the people who are listening to this are highly successful and doing well. You're putting limitations on little children who you're telling them that they can't be that because their father can't fly them to New York and go for a week, or their mother can't make bagels in the kitchen and this and that. You have to listen beyond that. You have to listen past them things. And I'm focusing on Adam because Adam out this week, right? But our next one next week and the week after that, we're never going to stop. It's going to be stories from all different people. I would encourage you as well that sometimes, you see, when the person look like us and the person talk like us and their style is like us and they talk about something that we could relate to, it's easier as we human. You tend to get them messages faster and get them messages easier. You know what I mean? Them is the easier message to get and digest. But I want to challenge you, as I always challenge myself, to try to listen to people who are not like you. Try to focus on the people who are not like you at all, who you may have preconceived notions about. Try and listen to them. It's as good as traveling to another country and seeing different cultures and different experiences. It's a different education. And again, the idea is to as you listen, it's one of 10,000. It's one of 10,000. It always have bugs to work out. It always have things. It happens all the time. And the more successful the individual that here is, the more feedback and the more comments on all them kind of things. I have to get used to that a little bit. I'm trying not to become one of them people who only respond to negative comments. I do appreciate a lot of the feedback on Adam. I'll be honest with you. I did not expect Adam's episode to be as popular as it was. As a matter of fact, after Junior, I was glad to release Adam. That's so good. I never see DMs and things like that after Junior. That's a lot of spotlight for me. It creates a lot of work. Very popular people create a lot of work after the episode or when the episode is published. So I tell myself, well, all right, with Adam, we have a little bit of a break. We have a lull. I tell David, I said, David, I had to slow down. It's plenty of work. I have a work to do, you know. I talk about my father. If you only call me now, it's all hell break loose, you know, because I'm behind on every metric, every KPI I have. Are behind. But the reality is that it's been, the response to it has been great. I'm happy that people enjoying it. I want to publicly thank Adam for coming and share his story. And he has a way of talking. Like what you see in the video and what you see in the room is kind of like two different things, right? That's why I decided to talk about this and do some behind the scenes things. He does not like to spend a lot of time talking about obstacles. You know? When you tell him about obstacles and drawbacks and it's almost like he had to say, all right, you want to talk about this? It's like, yeah, I cry. Because I took something from that. That he approaches it like life is full of obstacles. As he said, the bus coming and going, I don't honor you off. So he spends his time focusing on, okay, how can I improve this? How can I change this? How can I recover from this? How can I better this? And he himself has a way, even in an interview, not wanting to talk to the problems for too long, not wanting to complain is what it is. You get robbed, you get robbed. He was not complaining about getting robbed, burgled, or the coup. It's me waxing. And he have parents on them have some money to send him to college. Yeah. He has some money to send his friends to college and one over here. All those things is true. Is there somebody tell me you have an Aunt January he could call for? Yeah. All that is true. So my focus in life is how I go get to a point where I could send my son to school 5 times. You know, you say you have a daughter who's a perpetual student. If my son decide he will be I want to send back to school 5 times before he find himself in life. And how I can have a business where I could come so on an interview along the road and talk proudly about how Zachary changing the company, the way he spoke about what his son is doing for Adams. That's why I focused on it. Or how I could get my sister to be so good that she throw a whole thing in Hilton that I could now have someone of my nephew come to sell bagels and things, because the stories among some of our, think of your story among your sister and her children and the issues they might be having is a different story and a different ball game. And there's a lot that I take from every one of these episodes. I try to hold on to something from all the episodes. And one of them is Maxine talking about, Maxine in the midst of the thing, started to talk about, but me here how long I here for, I want to eat a mango one time. I'm like, Maxie, what happened? How do you think you're so heavy so fast? Same thing with Junior Lee. Junior Lee said, the grass will grow back. I could die any moment. I say, hey, how this so morbid? So if the most successful people have a common thread they're talking about in the episode, then I had to find out, I had to look at that. I have to see if it's useful for me. And one of the things, they're saying it in a way that might sound morbid, but what I took from them was that time really flies. Time is a thing where we feel we have a lot of. We feel like there's this tomorrow that is going to come where everything is going to be ideal and we go get everything we want and everything will be in place. And if I only had time and what I taken away from this statement that the bus pass, you could stay and stand by and thing, is that the time or the grass grows back, or Maxine saying I go eat up. What I taken from that more than anything else is that time is not ours. We feel like we have a lot of time, but the time to do the thing is now. And there's nobody better at telling us that than the late great Funny.
Yes. While walking in the city, I met an old girlfriend. We grew up from small. Yes. She was surprised to see how much that I got, and so handsome and tall. She said it doesn't seem like long, we were so very young. You mean so much time went by, like it was just the other day. We used to run and play, oh how time could really fly. So I show her, day before yesterday was yesterday, yesterday. Yesterday was today, yesterday. Today was tomorrow, yesterday. Tomorrow, today gonna be yesterday. Day after tomorrow, tomorrow gonna be yesterday.
Time does fly.
Yes.
Time does fly.
Tell you.
If you sit down and you write this, your mind really different.
When it flies.
She remind me about the first time I dip in the salt. She says she who encouraged me. She was sitting on a rock, I was standing in the water, reaching up to my knee. She said I didn't want to go, I was going in too slow, and only reach halfway. So she hold me by my head and pushed me facing it. Boy, that seemed like yesterday.
Yes,
I tell
yes.
you, day before yesterday was yesterday, yesterday. Yesterday was today, yesterday, yes. Today was tomorrow, yesterday. Tomorrow, today gonna be yesterday. Day after tomorrow, tomorrow gonna be yesterday.
Time does
I
fly.
tell you.
Make sense of it for me, right?
Time does fly.
Yes.
Giddy, 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 time. Back in the It's a good message for me too, you know, because I say, no, listen, Kaiso, like if Conrad and them go put me out just now, so little affordable imports, right? Because time is flying like hell here too, you know. I do have a couple, just a few, you know what I mean? A couple is a few. How much is a couple? Two? I do have a few quick things to talk about in terms of the current affairs and what is going on in the country right now, right? Of course, we're here to celebrate the life of the great calypsonian, the master funny, you know. We know we don't want to lose sense of that at any point in time. But there are a few things going on in this society that we had to touch on, right? One of them, as we're talking about, and just really my viewpoint and being, I guess, you know, very, very lucky to have a front row seat to some of these stories. And sometimes, you know, I feel sorry for, like, I wish I could put out unedited versions of these interviews or some behind the scenes and the before and after what really is be going on here. And some of the things that we fortunate enough to talk about. So to my boy Aaron, who always making sure I have a little bit of behind the scenes going on that I could share. But I'll tell you something, the behind the scenes conversation's so rich. Pause, you know what I mean? Quotes unquote, you know what I mean? No pun intended, whichever one of them works. The behind the scenes conversation so rich in terms of seeing the way they may see the world, or they may, like, there are some things that always stun me. Like, I remember, you know, you're looking forward to talking to somebody like Mr. Shaq, right? And a big part of it for me is that, especially the people I like and the people who I support in the Kaiso hunting, I want to see them win a Calypso monarch. And when I hear Mr. Shaq, you know, I would think that somebody like Mr. Shaq, who I feel gets some raw deal in the competition, wasn't in the competition this year. And, you know, we you hear a lot of shadow songs talking about you will catch them judges in hell and have them jump in it. That'd be enough there for Mr. Shaq to grouse about in them competitions. But when I hear him say, he don't look back at none of the thing that the judges had to say. He don't watch your rubric. He don't watch your metric. My first thing is like, why? Like, watch that and adjust yourself to that so you could win one for my selfish benefit. But he basically saying that, listen, I have a greater purpose. He say, I not letting no judges come between me and my audience. It's a serious message. We got a proper clap, right? It's a serious message that I not letting what the judges had to say, or the judges' opinion about my performance, or the judges' opinion about my song affect my performance. Is really an important part of. It's a really important part of the discussion for me, or the mindset again of those people who successful. And when somebody like that says that, it carries a heavy weight, but. Just like that question, half the answers that people give is shock. I expect the answer to go a certain way, and I be shocked like hell when they say it differently, because and again it teaches me a lesson as to, okay, where should my focus really be, and where is the purpose? And again, I always heard in Bob Marley documentary, he was talking about Black America, right? And Black America not listening to reggae music. And he said, almost in passing, I think, like, I want my music to reach its rightful people. Which he was talking about Black Americans, you know, and the message behind his music to reach the rightful people. And I'm always encouraged by a lot of the comments. I think people starting to finally see the true line, like what is the commonality and why we're here and what we're talking about, and the types of things that we could get to extract from the guests. In an hour and a half, 2 hours, it does no justice to the lives of the people we're talking about. It's impossible. But at least we could get some of our own success stories. And hopefully those success stories start to flood the libraries of this country and the libraries in the universities of this country and the hallways of places like UCT and UE, so that as people going into those institutions, they start to learn a little more about us and from us. And you have somebody like Funny who could stand up as part of what we learn from and part of what we emulate and part of what we live like. And then, of course, from the business side of it, if there's anything that coming out of that where you always wanted to start a business, or you have a business and you're struggling, listen for what is useful, listen for what helpful. Something that I found very, very useful I want to talk about today. This is from The Guardian, right? I hope I'm reading that right. Is this from The Guardian? It's either from The Guardian, The Express, or The Newsday. One of them true, right? But it says B-Mobile hosts SME sessions. B-Mobile Business has launched a new entrepreneurship series targeting small and medium enterprises as they continue to drive business activity in Trinidad and Tobago. In a news release on Wednesday, the company said a 4-part power on your business, I suppose is how to say it. The series debuted at the recently held 2025 Trade and Investment Convention to help local businesses sharpen their strategy, improve visibility, and build for long-term growth. Daryl Duke, Assistant Vice President of Business Sales at TSTT Entrepreneurship, says entrepreneurship is a significant driver of economic growth, and supporting that ecosystem is central to our role as Trinidad and Tobago indigenous communication solutions provider. He added, at B-Mobile Business, I can't read so well. Our focus goes beyond connectivity and infrastructure. It's about helping local businesses access the tools, expertise, and networks they need, not just to survive, but to thrive. This series wasn't about selling products. It was about investing, showing up as a partner to the business community, offering support, and being of service to the greater good of Trinidad and Tobago. It brought together entrepreneurs, creatives, and business advisors who delivered experience-driven insights on brand building, content strategy, and business development. It's something that I want to applaud. I think more and more we see maybe people grasping the idea that this goal we have about national development and about getting first world status. I'll put it to you that cannot be done by any government. There's no government who could carry no country from developing to developed. As far as I'm concerned, what needs to happen is that a part of the infrastructure, the government have a role to play, yes. But you see, entrepreneurship, just forget the word small business or SME for a minute. You see, entrepreneurship and innovation is one of the ways that we could really change our circumstances. If we fail to innovate and we fail to entrepreneur, we're going to end up in a situation where we still, 30, 40 years from now, dependent on oil and gas or dependent on a non-renewable resource. And crying, or I think it could be the people who come after we, crying that non-renewable resources run out and we have no money and the standard of living continues to slowly but surely deteriorate. And then it becomes less of a comfortable place to live. And that's not a Trinidad and Tobago I want to be in. I'm assuming that's not a Trinidad and Tobago you want to be in. So I always, if I have the chance and if I see anything like this in the public space where businesses helping each other, I want to highlight it because you know what's funny? You know what's under the other true lines of these episodes? You hear a lot in the public space that younger artists talk about not getting help from the artists that came before. But you also hear when we sit down here talking to them that the artists who established and been out there a long time, they don't want to interfere with what the youth's doing. They just want to call them and tell them, hey, do this. Because it could be seen as, yo, the game and you're fighting people down and them kind of thing. And then the young people don't know where to access or find the old people or even know some of our stories. Or every generation of youth we have feel they're creating it from scratch. And that's the truth in talking to artists here or producers. You hear it all the time where I didn't really have a mentor. I had to figure it out myself. One of the things I'm noticing as we have more business people here is very, very much the same. It feels as though you cannot access people. But one of the things I like is that, and I'm hoping is that these episodes could be a bridge. So that coming off, when you realize that Adam is just a person. He's just a person. And he might be approachable. He might be somebody you could ask. I think he is. You know where to find him now. We say he always in Adams and them kind of thing. It's a good place to start to go and ask them. It's the same thing with the established and the foundation artists, if you want to call them, just don't say older artists, right? But all of them talking about the fact that, I would help anybody. I talked to this one. Remember Sister Ron saying, I talked to Nelly Mother, and Nelly Mother had to explain to her, and then they work and they do some things together, I feel like there's a powerful part of what we have that we're not really tapping into. And in one of more recent interviews with a Calypsonian, you go see that in a few weeks, but she was talking about the power of Calypso blues. Again, business, entrepreneurship. Them fellas open my Calypso blues and they make it into a space where you see in rock bands, comedians, all different types of creatives and people who would be business people to me. You have us art and you have it's like this for me. I guess the podcast is more of a creative pursuit than anything else I ever pursue. But the idea is to turn it into a business. I want this to build my legacy to the point where Zachary could simply say, yeah, what is he seeing me doing so good? I live in New York every day. I listen to all the messages. I want that to be his reality. And I hope that when that becomes his reality, he takes the time and gives back and shares his wealth, his treasury, his time and his talent, as they would say. You share some of that with the people who are coming, because there's no individual progress. I learned that myself. Individual progress is a facade. It's not a real thing. Because what does it take to gain the world and lose his soul? You know what I mean? What does it take? A man should gain the whole world and lose. My grandmother would be proud enough. I could quote a little one verse. But as we're done talking about soul, we had to get back to funny.
Yes. Them politicians in this country only good for cocktail party. Instead of they see about the country, they digging soul with some young lady, always with a glass, drinking whiskey mouthful, like they always hungry, whining and dancing. And believe me, digging soul more than anybody. Who they put in charge of the culture? So man. Who in charge of agriculture? So man. Who's supposed to see about them highways? So man. Who's supposed to fix up them byways? So man. Invite them to come and discuss your problem. Rain or shine, you can't see them. Always making some stupid excuse. Leave you there digging the blues. But if they get invited to a party, they're right there shaking their body. When you check the whole set of them, soul men. Who's supposed to clean up the city? Soul man. Who in charge of electricity? So man. Who's supposed to see about we transport? So man. Who's supposed to take care of we sport? So man.
And the man's so funny. He make a kind of soul beat to put with his song too, He let be known what he's saying. We're here to celebrate the life of the great funny. I mean, the thoughts, views, and opinions are funny. You ain't gonna get me no time they say, I say. I started to learn my lesson more this, because people started to have a hard time deciphering what I say in an interview or what I say in an episode versus what was said in an episode. But I like it. I enjoy it. I just want to let it be known too that I'm enjoying all this thoroughly. I enjoying the feedback. I enjoying all of it. Whether again, I'm not too much into the negative versus positive. I can't get to all the social media, the comments and them kind of thing. While you're watching Adam, I focusing on who I had to do today. I need to do research and make sure that I had things covered for today so that you are something every Monday morning. So I can't get to all of them, but I want to be known again that as we continue to turn corners here, there's all this happening plenty faster than I thought, but I appreciate people who in it for the long haul. I saw the comments where people gave some very encouraging words about starting the Patreon and pledging to that and subscribing to the merch. Those things go a long way. You know what I mean? To get anything done, bills have to be paid and I have to be conscious of that. You know what I mean? I have a young wife, My young wife. They just watch it and they start to ask questions, And I appreciate the people who pop in, who not there for the long haul, but they like a certain person and they come to take in a certain person. I also appreciate the people who just pop in to see, well, all right, well, who is this and what was done wrong and all what could have been right and all what could have been better and all. I appreciate them people too. Because Trinidad, the carnival is bacchanal and bacchanal is carnival. If you don't have that, you're not doing anything right? And funny, I have a thing to talk about that, because it's in a no shortage a song about a little peep in this country, you know what I mean, in this country and region. You know what I mean? James P. say everybody peeping. It's about 100,000 song about Mako. But this is what make funny one of the grades, the way you will put together songs, because he have a song about Mako too, you know, you want to hear it?
For those of you who don't know what a Mako is is someone who is very knowledgeable in other people's business, like a peeping Tom. You find one or more in every neighborhood. Yes? I'm a cautious neighbor, man they call him Bam. It's the biggest Mako in the whole island. Man he always peeping and he always seeing everybody business. He does bring in public. If you take a girl to cinema, Bamsie. If you buy popcorn and give her Bamsie. If you go and sit in a corner, Bamsie. If you put your arms around her, Bamsie. And if you hug she,
Bamsie. And if you squeeze she,
Bamsie. If you pinch she, Bamsie. And if you kiss she, Bamsie. Tell you.
Great Lord funny, the man say Bamsie. That is how to put together a song. A quick one, right? A quick one I want to touch on because I was feeling a little left out, right? This is just my gripe and grouse, right? Just my gripe and grouse. Only forgive me for a minute. I had to read this, right? And all this positivity about B-Mobile and so on, getting involved in SMEs, those are things we will continue to look for. And you know, the person who they're talking about there, Daryl Duke, as communications in B-Mobile. Daryl Duke is also part of the ownership of Deckies. I hope to get, if not all of them, I would love for all of them to come, but at least one person from Deckies to come and just talk a little bit about the story behind Deckies. You know, Deckies have a very interesting story, including the name that I think more and more people should hear, you know. But in talking about business, I want to read something from the Express here, right? These are not my words. These are the work of the great Mark Passant from the Trinidad and Tobago Express. What is it called? Express? Trinidad Express? Trillion Systems Limited Director James Caron Rose has reacted with expletives to news of a probe into his company by the Trinidad and Tobago Securities Exchange Commission. Rose took to the company's Instagram page the day the story of the probe was published by the Express and posted a defiant message. Rose, who has failed to appear to answer any phone calls or text messages from the Express as well as investors, posted on his Instagram. Nothing does be very good when the government's involved, but you all so-and-sos keep trying to get the government involved in our things. But no problems. Officially from the media to the lowest imps involved, how all here, so and so and so and so and so and so and so. Here was my gripe with this, right? It happened to me with DSS. It happened to me with, what do you call next name, Organo Gold. It happened with Trillions. What I want to understand, right, is how it is nobody don't call me when they have the get-rich-quick scheme. Because I just understand it. I just understand it. I want to get rich fast too. And when I hear the people talk here about all the struggles as an artist, our broadcasters coming here to talk about things, men who own businesses over the years, men is telling about all the obstacles, all the problems, what I want them to the problems for in life. I want to get in on something like Trillions on them early. Invest enough to I could think and get a break and cut out. All the people who went into DSS early and think and get out and think, how nobody don't call me? I find out about this Trillion thing. So to Mark Bassant, one of the greatest to ever do the investigative journalism thing. And this is a story covered. I surprised they have so much people who invested in this thing. I wonder if some people of course, I'm talking tongue-in-cheek, right? If you didn't get it, I'm joking. Ha, 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 ha. But I'm not putting my money in none of them kind of thing. My money is for bank. And you see the people, they call it TTSEC. I go put more money there and earn somewhere around 5-6% a year and eat little and live long. I always remember when I was in Jamaica, there had a fellow who wants to invest, a taxi driver, you know, he want to invest in this thing so bad, and he wants to borrow money to put in something called Cash Plus. Boy, Cash Plus bus, and it was the same thing. People like these things where you invest in something and you do nothing and you get multiples. If it's too good to be true, it probably ain't true. And it's good thing to stay away from all them sort of thing. Go home, coffee. I like coffee a lot, but you can get it in any Massy, any store you go in, any corner shop, have Massy selling coffee and things. But people like to put themselves into these things and invest in them. And then they're so shocked at when it busts. And even in that, he blaming the government. Some of the people who I saw it with DSS, where people, when it collapsed, people say the government wicked, we're gonna seize the man money and things. No knock on anybody. I ain't saying nothing bad about nobody. What you have to say when you the libel and the thing, right? There's more eyes on me now, more concerned about libelous statements and defamatory statements. Remember when you used to play pitch? You could say fend no lawsuit. I just fend no lawsuit, right? Fend no lawsuit, fend no litigation, fend no pre-action protocol letter. But the people who are running these things, they're doing very good. The fellas and them going out there and living good, going on cruises, going on trips all over the world. We see them doing things, they're wearing the best. And we still home saying the government do this and the government take the money and them kind of thing. You see why I don't get involved in them thing, and my money is not for that. But I okay with my money coming in chirrup. They say let come chirrup. Because, they used to say, I think, want all, lose all. What's all the versions of them saying we used to have long time? With the dog and the bone and things. Like people, you save up $9,000, right? $9,000, I find hard to save up, to have $9,000 in the bank there. You should be proud of that 9,000. How I go put my 9,000 into something that's supposed to give me 81,000? You know how hard it was with my little hard head for somebody to explain to me how a susu this work. Because when I hear 9,000 and I hear 81,000, I hear, all right, well, it's 9 people in the susu. Then I started hearing it only have 4. And I was like, well, 9 by 4 is not 81. I fail maths a lot, but I know that they're right. It's a song and right. It's song smaller. So I can't add up them things. I cannot tell you up to today what exactly is Trillions investments about. I don't know what it is. They're talking about Bitcoin and thing. And he, just like everybody else and all the other schemes that came before, is like, hold the line, don't let go the line. You know what I mean? If all of we stand up, we could think. But again, I feel like a lot of that is born out of the same issues that people have with the idea of the 1%, and I create a space for the 1% to come and talk and say, I feel like a lot of them systems and the reason people fooled by that is because they think that anybody who do well, do wrong, and they do harm to do well. Me don't have no time for that. I can't think in them kind of metrics. I can't add them kind of thing. I see Jay-Z in an interview once talking about the Illuminati thing, right? And he said he believed that when people see enormous success, they put limitations on themselves to get that success. They want to put them limitations on you, and because you don't have them limitations, they automatically say, you're in the lodge, you're in the Illuminati, you're doing black magic, white magic, any kind of thing, but risking $1, making $1.25. Doing it over and over, learning from your mistakes. You place bandong, you get up again. You accept and implement all the privilege you have in life, which I trying to do. All the things that working for me, I using them to my advantage. I want to do that. I'm not making it to anybody else's disadvantage. And my privilege not making anybody else underprivileged. I'm talking about me. So I want to use all the tools that I have, that I develop, including my family, the backing, the support I have, my friends, things like that. And if I could find ways to leverage those things to get better, then I go listen to the people and them who don't figure out how to do that already. If I was to blame the Illuminati, it means that I think I had to join an Illuminati to do like them. And I don't think that. So I rather listen to hear, okay, where the message is, where the thing is, how I could improve and focus on me. Focus on me. I'm not saying anything that anybody say. Me don't know nothing, and me no court close to say where nobody get wealth and nobody. I don't know nothing about them kind of things. I talking to somebody who figure some things out, and I talk about people who figure some things out every week, every Monday. Tune in, you will hear somebody else who figure plenty things out next week. And maybe if that person is not enormously wealthy, or that person is not seen as this beacon of wealth, and they talk, maybe you might listen and say, well, hey, I could do that. And that's my purpose and my goal. And one of my other goals is to celebrate the great calypsonians that pass through here. And of course, funny is one. There's no message in this song, right? The words of this song is funny. It's not mine.
Yes.
They always want pen and paper. They borrow
I want a break. The break all they could give me is when all they see things like trillions and DSS pop up. Let me get in line one number and all they call me early. Let me see if I can get in and get out. I hear the only way to do it is to get in and get out early. You know what I mean? Boy, listen. Maybe I should probably take back everything I just say. And just thank God that the people and the circles I are around and the people who I talk to every day, they're so disinterested in things like that. That it ain't even reaching my wheel well. By the time I hear about it, it done bust on it out in the public. But I have a few more funny to leave you with, before I get out of here. All you know this one?
Yes. Every carnival is the same thing here in Trinidad. People flock in the country just like if they mad. Plenty people done here already and more on the way. It's carnival and them people flocking here every day. They flock up the airports, they flocking in the street, they flock up the dance hall. People flocking in they flocking the Calypso tents, man, they flocking without care. They flocking here, they flocking there, they flocking everywhere. I tell you. Carnival 75 had people like sand just to get to the corner. I squeezed through man and woman. In all the heat and excitement, I went for Moby by grace. Well, that was confusion. They flock up the human place. They flock up the airport. They flocking in the street. They flock up the dance hall. People flocking in the heat. They flocking the Calypso tents, man. They flocking without care. They flocking here, they flocking there, they flocking everywhere. Yes.
Let's tell you something again. Clean, right? The PG-13 version of a film to drop for you, and I'm leading up to my favorite one. But you know this kind of funny.
Yes. You eat and you drink and all life is sweet. But when last did you check up on your teeth? You eat up, you drink up, you say life's sweet. But why don't you make a check on your teeth? Your teeth is a thing must clean every day. If you don't, your teeth will sure to decay. Just look at my teeth, so clean and white too. So why don't you try to do as I do? I get up in the morning, I brush. After I had my lunch, I brush. If I eat between meals, I brush. After my dinner time, I brush. If I happen to just drink some whiskey or gin, before I go to sleep, I go brush again. Yes.
I agree with the sentiments of that song, right? But I agree with it somewhere around 30, 40 years ago. Because you see that idea, you wake up in the morning, you brush, there's a lot from the great funny. Before I get to my last one, and you see, tune like that is exactly why I say it's important for you if you never hear about Funny or if you don't know about him. Again, rest in peace, same condolences to his family. I hope his family could get ears on this, and hear that we love Funny. We love him bad from a long, long time, right? But when you think of, again, how important the role of the comedic calypsonian was in the tent, and the fact that we come in to hear serious matters discussed. In the midst of all those discussions, you hear that there's a genre and a type of a calypsonian that going to come out there and say or do something that going to break all the tension. What I want people to appreciate is that it doesn't just break the tension in the tent. It could break the tension in the nation as a whole. We might remember how important the Calypso tent was as a distillery of what is happening in the country and a storytelling avenue and a place for venting, a place for letting the powers that be understand how the people feel, right? And when you have people in the midst of them there, it might contribute that. Like that Sweet Trinidad. I'll go end with that again, right? Because of how important that song is. Not just to funny catalog and legacy, but to all of us. But that would have contributed a lot to how we function as a society, where we could take the most serious issue and make joke. Serious thing happening in this country and all of we laughing. And just like I said in the beginning of the episode, we could take that to be a fault. We could take that to be a flaw. You know what I mean? Like we ain't make up right. We don't take nothing serious. Or we could make that into something that is unique to us. And it could be something that changes the way the world views this country. In other words, no matter how bad the world gets, and the world, you could see it, the world getting bad, all kind of things happening all over the world. But we could be seen as the kind of people who, this is the place to come to, you know, to escape some of it, to laugh about it, to feel good about the world. And so we had to stop this notion that Trinidad is not a real place. This is the realest place in the world. It's the realest place we could ever be in. Because we could take whatever serious the issue is or as heavy. We just take wake when man dead and people mourning. We just take that and play card. When funny talk about Bamsie, we just go funeral to Mako and see who thing and who. You're saying, you know, people bawling and collapsing in funeral and we going back over to say, boy, and see Miss Jean falling in thing and we have a uniqueness about us that we want to turn into a negative thing, which I seem to see, I view it as largely positive. Before I get back into my last few funny, I'd pay respects to the funniest man of them all, you know, one of them who would have been surely an inspiration for funny.
I thought I was cool, but it's now I realize that I'm still a fool.
You mustn't doubt me.
I thought I was cool, but it's now I realize that I'm still a fool. Believe I never realized this thing until All Fools Day on the 1st April. Believe I would have killed my wife and the brood
If I thought you wasn't telling spoiler the truth,
I never see more believe in my life.
I meet a man inside my own house kissing my wife.
I asked what is that?
She turned wrong and say, only fooling your spoiler is All Fools Day. You hear the kind of serious thing man taking on a make joke?
I ball out the hole because I know that my wife never get on so fat. But my neighbor Lash used to tell me about the man when he take mustache. I catch them kissing.
I was telling Clarence,
for it all full day,
I must leave allowance.
Clarence watch me, pat me on my back,
Tell me not to blame, she blamed the almanac. I never see more believe in my life. I meet a man inside my own house kissing my wife. I ask what is that? She turned wrong and say, I only fool in your spoiler is All Fools Day. Well, you know them kind of calypsos? You know them kind of calypso? I'm leaving you with what, well, as I go in, the second to last, I'm watching something again, which is, and again, people like Lord Christo, plenty of them, you know, plenty of them follow that road of being very, very funny calypso, Cypher being one of them. But one of my favorite funny, and I save it for down in the end, right? Because he did have some bombs, which I played early in the episode, with his big songs. I'm sure would be a big part of his legacy. But I have one in particular that is my favorite, and I will play that and close with Sweet Trinidad, which again is a classic, right? Listen to the lyrics, right?
Ding dong, 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 ding dong. Yes. Party in full swing, sweet music jamming, Jane dancing with Dan. She man want to break she hand. Start to hit she kick and cup, but she decide she had enough. Jam the girl back to a wall, but it's he who start the ball. Let go me ding dong, you're pulling me ding dong, you're squeezing me ding dong, you're hooking me ding dong, you're holding me ding dong, you're rolling me ding dong, you're stretching me ding dong, you go bust me ding dong. try to bite. She only scream more tight. She say, all you're meant to bowl. Then she start to squeeze and roll. Playing that how you like the beat, making me shame all in the street. Then she bring him to his knees. He start to beg, she darling, please. Let go me ding dong. You're pulling me ding dong. You're squeezing me ding dong. You're hurting me ding dong. You're holding me ding dong. You're rolling me ding dong. You're stretching me ding dong. You go boss me ding dong. Yeah. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong,
Ding dong. So we're taking this opportunity to say thanks. We're taking this opportunity to honor and pay respects to the great one, the great Lord Funny. You know what I mean? One of the greatest to ever do it. And I'm leaving you on this one, you know. Not just one of the greatest songs that Funny ever sing, but one of the greatest Calypso ever written. Here, you want to know about Trinidad and Tobago? You want to tell our tourists what we are about here? Play this for them.
Yes. Foreigners always asking me why in Trinidad people so happy what to do. Man, I have to tell them the truth. I say a man could sleep until 10 o'clock, get up and still here late for work, way hurry for. He getting transport in front the door. And this poker boat they go in whole day and until they still draw a big fat pay if they like. They could call a big strike. So I tell them sweet, sweet Trinidad, 'cause I love this country bad. I don't want to leave at all. Ever since I small, look up all in sweet, sweet Trinidad. Brother, father, feeling glad when the dead will bury me in the center of the city. Yes.
So like I say, I'm back to recording solo episodes, right? We hear the name of the song, Sweet Sweet Trinidad by Lord Funny. When you get a chance, check it out. One of the greatest Calypso ever written. Don't take me being here last week and this week as a sign that you're going to see me next week. But I will talk to you as soon as all it's out.